Pokemon Masters, my name is PokePatrol and hey, hello, thank you for clicking on my videos. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so we're going through a roster of Pokemon characters, right? The toughest of the tough, the strongest of the strong. The most difficult boss battles you've ever had to fight in Pokemon, and there's plenty of people that we can talk about over the coming months. There's Cynthia, you know, the champion of Sinnoh. We've talked about the terrifying Whitney or the final gym leader of Johto, Claire. There's Brock in Pokemon Yellow, where you barely have any type advantage. That's a whole other conversation. But the Pokemon trainer I want to talk about in this video, how are they so tough, and exactly why is May of Generation 3's Hoenn region, or Brandon, I guess. Sorry, when I'm playing Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, or Mega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, I usually play as the Brandon avatar, so May is usually my rival. So forgive me, I'm probably going to reference May a number of times in this video, but you can switch them out however pleases you. The Hoenn rival, and yes, I'm not joking here, because I know that this character can be a bit of a pushover most of the time. But there's one fight in particular which, wow, I mean, move aside Silver, move aside Blue, you, for being the edgy rivals who are going to give you the player character a hard time, no. You got nothing on May and Brandon. And hey, thank you to everyone who has been liking and commenting on my videos. Thank you to everyone who is helping getting those videos out there, because every time you like and comment them, helps out the YouTube algorithm and it shares it out to more people, and ultimately more people are seeing the videos, and that just makes me happy because they get to see, and hopefully they enjoy, and hopefully you enjoy, and I'll keep making. So thank you, and let's talk about what the heck I'm even on about. Because May as a rival, I mean, what's the final battle that you have with this rival? In the original Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald? She doesn't even fully evolve her starter. How could I possibly be talking about May or Brandon? Again, I'm just going to stick to one. May just means that my lovely friend Kotlol, who's helping me out with the editing, doesn't have to put both of them in every single time. So May. You're welcome, Kotlol. The thing is, when it comes to Hoenn, yeah, May is a bit of a pushover. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and I'm not really going to be talking about Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire here, because those games in general are just a lot easier than Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald because of the wonders of the EXP share. An item that I'm so glad you can turn off in those games. But yeah, May is actually usually a bit of a pushover. You never face her with her final evolution starter. You know, she will choose the starter that has the type advantage to you, but you'll never see it turned into a Blaziken, Swampert, or Sceptile. Not in classic Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. It just doesn't happen. But there is one battle, and I'm hoping some of you know where I'm going with this. There is one battle with May that I always found horribly tough. After your early journeys around the Hoenn region, you battled May once, of course, at the beginning of the game, where they used, you know, Torchic, Mudkip, or Trico, the Pokemon that is the type advantage to you. And you've gone round and you've earned a badge or two. And you've pushed through Slayport City and faced off against Team Aqua or Team Magma. And you're making your way up to Route 110, battling a couple of trainers, getting paralyzed to a Plusle or Minun here or there. You're underneath the cycling road and you're thinking, I can't wait to push on and finally get my third gym badge. You're thinking, I hope I don't run into a random powerful battle, and suddenly, May shows up out of nowhere. The light projecting from behind her, giving her this powerful stance as she walks towards you, carrying her item finder. She goes, oh, look what I found.
A puny mortal Pokemon trainer.
And May faces off with you in my opinion, one of the toughest Pokemon battles that I've ever had. So why? What is it about this Pokemon battle? Well, May always uses the same rotation of Pokemon. First of all, there's the starter Pokemon. Now evolved into its second stage, Combuskin, Marshtomp, or Grovyle, your starter should also be at that point. But again, you've got type disadvantage always. If you chose Torchic, then you now have a Combuskin, a fire-fighting Pokemon, and you're facing up against Marshtomp, a water and ground type. Which, okay, while there's not a lot of type stuff going on with fighting and ground types, her water-type Marshtomp is going to do a lot of damage to your Combuskin, unless for some reason you kept the move Peck, which is flying against ground, but that doesn't do a lot of damage anyway. If you pick Trico, then you should have a Grovyle by now, and yeah, prepared to get swept by a fire-type Combuskin. It just does a lot of damage. But that type advantage is not the worst one. By far the worst one is if you're like me and you like to pick Mudkips. And you evolve your Mudkip into a Marshtomp, and it's now Water Ground type, taking quad damage from the Grass type Grovyle. That on its own is tough, but then what do you have to combat these Pokemon? Now, in the early routes of Hoenn, your options are you could get a Dustox or a Beautifly, so you've got Poison, Flying, Bug. Those are all strong against Grass, so if you picked a Mudkip and you get one of those, you might be good, although the Butterfly Pokemon of every generation tend to max out their stats around level 10, which means by the time you're at this point in the game, they're just not quite good enough. Zigzagoon and Poochyena don't offer any distinct type advantage. Wingull is Water Flying, so that's a good option against Combusken if you chose Trico, so that's, you know, that's always nice. Maybe Flying does something against Grovyle, but you're better off taking hold of Tailo. Tailo is actually a Pokemon that does well against May because it's flying against Firefighting Combusken, and Grass Grovyle, and Water Ground Marshtomp. In fact, if you've got a Swellow, you're probably in a really good place. So smart to you if you got a Swellow. And then there's a number of other Pokemon, the only ones offering any real type advantage here. Shroomish as a grass type is always nice to have against Marshtomp. Ninjask as bug type and flying type, which again can really help out. Ralts is always generally very, very good and super good against Combusken. And yeah, basically nothing else. If you didn't get a Tailo or a Ralts or a Shroomish, then generally speaking your other options are relatively lackluster. But that's not the worst part of it. You know, I'm essentially here explaining a basic game of rock, paper, scissors to you. Here's the thing, she has in her arsenal rock, paper and scissors, or rather fire, water and grass, always. In the original Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, May always works with a rotation of Numel, Wailmer and Shroomish, guaranteeing that her team always has a fire type, a water type and a grass type. So let's say you brought a Shroomish or a bug type Pokemon to the battle, well, her Numel will probably take care of it. And for anything else, her Shroomish and her Wailmer are like really good walls. Wailmer has very high HP and Shroomish stuns everything that touches it. And again, with these battles, I'm never saying that these trainers are unbeatable, but in this situation, you do not have a lot of great options. It's not going to be a sweep, it is always going to be a challenge. Granted, you may have, on that very route 110, if you did a little bit of hunting or got lucky, you might have come across an Electrike, you might have caught it, gone back to Slayport and healed it up before the battle surprises you as randomly as it does. And that would help against Wailmer, wouldn't really help against Marshtomp with it being part ground type. Or you got Plus or Minun, although they're really more designed for double battles in the Pokemon Adventures. But generally speaking, May has a roster that seems to cover everything. In Emerald, it gets a little bit easier. The roster changes out from Wailmer, Numel and Shroomish to Wingull, Slugma and Lombre, so she's still got the same type coverage. The fact that Lombre is water and grass maybe makes it a little bit more difficult, but I think Slugma is generally easier to deal with than Numel. And Wingull is definitely easier to deal with than Wailmer. And then her team gets even easier again, of course, in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, because the EXP share just makes the game very easy in general. But those of you who played the original Ruby and Sapphire, I think you know what I mean. I think you know what I mean when you weren't expecting it, when you walked under, Route 110. It's not really a point of significance in the game, you're just thinking, hey, my rival hasn't shown up for a while, and then Brandon or May shows up with a team of water, grass, and fire Pokemon that are actually, for the point you're at decently high levels. Level 20 doesn't sound high, but again, remember at this point, you only have 2 gym badges. You are on your way to the 3rd gym, and then May or Brandon, they just appear out of nowhere, ready to decimate you. I personally remember that battle being very difficult, and that's why I thought it was worth doing a video about and adding it to this list of trainers that for me will live in the Hall of Fame. Every other battle that you have with your Hoenn rival, by the way, I think is super, super easy. They're a complete pushover and you destroy them easily. But at this point in the game, this loop of type advantage and disadvantage, you do really have to think about what you're sending out and when. If you're a trainer like I was as a kid who invested all of the leveling into your starter Pokemon, you're not going to have a good time because they're always going to be able to combat it. And if you catch a wide variety of Pokemon, that's great, but you got to be sure you're going to level them all properly, because if you don't, they will be severely under-leveled. And that is why I chose the Hoenn rival for this video. But what do you think? Did May really deserve a spot on this list? I did want to go a little unconventional with this one. I will do some more of the powerhouse trainers very, very soon. But yeah, this is a battle that I definitely remember being really difficult when I was younger. What do you think? Of course, let me know in the comments. And every time you do leave a comment, it helps YouTube share my videos out to more people. So hopefully they get to enjoy the videos, you enjoy the videos, and I get to keep making them. So thank you for that. And of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!
And a massive thank you to those of you supporting me on Patreon, including the big patrons of the month, the Nerd Therapist and Gunnar Clovis. Thank you.